Here we are talking prop tech because I went out for dinner the night before last and people were talking about a new data tool on a real estate website. That does not happen very often. The website was Allsopp Allsopp, and the tool is their data hub. So far so geeky, but it has got people talking because it allows you to be a nosy neighbour. The fact that it was being discussed out and about, and quite frankly there were more interesting things going on in the world, made me curious. I checked with Lewis Allsopp, what he'd done, what's going on, and he told me that in the 24 hours since it had launched, they had literally seen that part of the website explode. So we are joined now by Lewis Allsopp, CEO of Allsopp Allsopp. Good morning, Lewis.
Morning, Brandy.
What have you done?
Well, I think I've got a lot of people talking, haven't I? So basically, we've created a tool for buyers, tenants, landlords, international clients to be able to see what's sold recently and what's rented. So this is not advertised information. If an Ajari is registered with the Dubai government, you're able to now see specifically that property, the unit, the tower, and the price. So we've really created a transparent marketplace for everyone around the world.
Tell me about where you're getting the data.
So the data is from one of our partners, from Cavendish Maxwell, which is evidently coming from the Dubai Land Department. So we have a very big tech team behind what we've got to do. So to decipher the information is a very difficult job. It's took us 18 months to do this. So the data is live and available and up to date every 15 minutes or so as well.
Which is my next question. How current is this? So every 15 minutes, you're getting what? The latest rental transactions, the latest prices for rents and sales.
Yeah, so if you rent a property today, tomorrow morning, it will show on this data. So I was looking yesterday at sales that happened that we completed, and it's up to date immediately the next day. So it's such a fantastic tool for, especially for, if I look at the mindset for why I've done it, there's no real transparency in terms of international clients. If you're looking to buy or rent a property, how do you know what it's really worth? And I've been through this myself, buying a property in the UK. You can go on Rightmove in the UK, Zoopla, and you can specifically go on the property that you own, and you can see the history of every single transaction from 20, 30 years ago. And that transparency is what Dubai needs.
So how many people are actually using it in the day and a half, 2 days since you launched?
So on that specific web page alone, we've had 14,000 people log on and actually use it for over a minute and a half, which is where we see the transactional value in it. We're not interested in the clicks, but we've had 1,100 by the end of the day, 1,100 inquiries to want to know what their property is worth. Now they probably don't want to sell, but it's a fantastic tool for any client wanting to speak to an agent. So there might be nosy neighbours, there might be potential clients, or people want to know what the house is worth today.
You've only got 90 days worth of data, though. I mean, I looked on the building in which I'd bought and couldn't see anything because there hasn't been any of those units moving in the past 3 months. Why so?
Yeah. The market moves so quick. I didn't see the point in putting 3 years, 5 years. I mean, we're going to roll it out for 6 months, maybe in the next few months or so. But you can imagine the amount of data we've had to put together. This is phase one. But if you look at what prices were 3 months ago, even 6 months ago, it's very difficult to gauge. So we try and keep it as live as possible. There's other websites that actually have this data, but it's all graphs and it's very complicated. We want to make this user focused. So anyone that's live looking at a property, we want to tell you live what it's worth.
And the nosy neighbour faculty is that it doesn't necessarily have to be your unit. You can literally put in someone else's unit if they've moved in and find out what they're paying in rent.
Yeah, but that's available around the world. I think there's a lot of apprehension, especially with tenants who are getting cheap rent. They're like, oh, hang on a minute, you can see what my rent is worth now. But I was sitting around a dinner table myself yesterday, and someone said to me, wow, I love this because the house that I was renting, I've got my eye on buying it. So I think it's going to do so much good for the market. It'll help landlords get what they want. If a tenant is overpaying, when the market does decide to drop a little bit, they'll be able to negotiate. So you can see any tower, any unit. Obviously, there's no owner's details, there's no tenant's details. It is just based on the transaction of that property.
But as Tom pointed out this morning, Lewis, we've got a bit of a two-tier market going on here, particularly when it comes to rents, because if you're a legacy tenant, you're paying one price. if you're moving in somewhere fresh, you're an open market tenant. How are you adjusting for that?
You can't. I think any of the tenants, realistically, if they are paying under market value, there's potentially going to be a vacating notice coming if they're paying 30, 40, 50% under market value. That's the market. The problem is with Dubai, I've said it many times, it's dramatically undersupplied. So tenants are under so much pressure, and this is why a majority of our buyers buying at the moment are tenants, because they have a decision of whether to pay more money for rent or actually get on the property ladder. So that's what's a big fuel for the property market at the moment.
We've also been speculating here, Lewis. We're all for transparency here on the Business Breakfast, and
Yes.
no one loves a bit of data and a new tool more than us. But are you actually making life harder for your agents here? Does this not take away negotiating room?
I mean, how do you negotiate? You negotiate with facts. I think that's the big thing. And, we can only, our job is, I think it's sometimes misconstrued with people. Our job is to show data and information. If we're meeting a buyer and they lowball a seller, we want to go there and say, why are you making this offer? Here is the data. And the same thing with sellers, if they're putting it overpriced, we don't get paid unless we move someone into a house. So, it probably speeds up, the lowballing and the highballing of a landlord and puts two people close together. But I think the big thing for everybody else, this data in every industry is available. Education, law. You can see today every case that's taking place in the courts. You can see how many people in population. The actual data is available, but it takes a company to get it and make it available, which is a difficult thing.
While we talk about numbers, and actually you mentioned undersupply, let's actually talk oversupply, because before we let you go, you're also the source of my personal stat of the day. I paused on your LinkedIn yesterday when I was doing my research for this interview,
Yes.
and the number that you had up about the number of people in your game was astounding.
Wild.
Tell us.
Do you know what? So I think 4 years ago, it's 3,000 agents. It's now 12,000 people. Now, I worked out as like 1,100 people per agent in Dubai, which is just wild. But, Dubai has grown. I said to everybody, when I come here, the population was 1.8 million. It's now 3.7 nearly. And it's, they've got a target of 5 million. So, if more transactions happening, more are being built, there is more property to sell and rent. And Allsopp can't do that alone. They can't move everybody in. So we welcome the agents to the market as well.
But how many have we got overall? Give us that number again.
About 12,000.
Is it 20 seconds? Is it too many?
No, I don't believe so. The reality is that there's an oversupply of people wanting to buy and rent. So these people need servicing. We need more agents in the market. And Allsopp on a very big recruitment drive at the moment to make sure we can keep up with the demand like other brokerages in Dubai. So there's definitely enough scope for people in the market.
Well, thanks for joining us this morning. Lewis Allsopp is the CEO of Allsopp Allsopp, joining us to talk about their nosey neighbour tool, technically called a data hub, on their website. As he said, it's Cavendish Maxwell, so Property Monitor, helping them with the back end of that. But it has certainly got people talking. As he said there, 14,000 people have used it in the 72 odd hours since it launched. Dubai.